In part three of your Letterforms project, we're now going to experiment with color choices. And this is called the Letterforms Color Rule or Color Theme Studies. I'm going to provide you with this template. It's an Adobe Illustrator file. And you're going to use this to choose 5 different color themes. And it's kind of cool because in Adobe Illustrator in the new version, they have actually added a new color theme panel, which makes this really a fun and easy step. Prior to this version of Illustrator, we actually had to go to an external website owned by Adobe called Adobe Cooler Color and do all of the work outside and then import the swatches, and it just took a lot more steps. Well, now what Adobe has done in their new release is they've actually added that functionality into Adobe Illustrator itself. And I'm going to show you how to use it in this video. First thing I always want you to do when I am doing a training tutorial like this is reset your workspace unless I have asked you to create a custom workspace, because I want to make sure that you're always looking at the same thing I am. It makes it a lot less confusing. So let's start by resetting the workspace. And I'm going to come up here to Window, and this is where all the panels are. So all of these, and by the way, they are in alphabetical order, are panels. And depending on what workspace you choose, different panels will be displayed. The default workspace for Illustrator is Essentials, and that's what I'm going to work with today. So I'm going to come up here to the top, and I'm going to say Workspace, and come over here to the sub menu and say Reset Essentials. What Resetting Essentials does is it cleans up the desktop and brings out these default panels, which are properties, layers, and libraries. Now we can add to and take away from these, and which is exactly what we're going to do now. Now, as we examine our choices for color themes, we need to use the color theme panel. And this is just a screenshot that I've included for you so that you can identify it easily. This is what the color themes panel looks like. And to get the color themes panel, I'm going to come up again to Window. It's where our panels are always found. And again, these are in alphabetical order. And I'm going to come down to color themes. And that pops out the color theme panel. Another panel that I know I'm going to be using a lot is, because we're going to be creating custom swatches, is the swatches panel. So again, Window all the way down to S and swatches. There's my color swatches panel. And this is drag and drop technology in the Adobe suite of products. And you'll notice that if I get this panel and I hover over my color themes, I get that blue line. Well, what that means is it is going to dock my swatches panel to my themes panel so that if I need to move them around, they move together. Kind of cool. What I'm also going to do is pull down on my swatches panel to make room for the 5 or 6, new color groupings or color swatch groups that I'm going to be adding. Okay, so let's begin with analogous. You'll notice that in the color themes panel, I have a lot of little icons, and if you mouse over them, you get a description as to what that icon does. And what we want to actually do at this point is add or find a color rule. So I'm going to click on the color rule icon, and I'm going to show you guys how to add an example of an analogous color theme. So I'm going to pick analogous, and nothing much happened because the default for the color themes panel is analogous. And you'll notice I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 color samples or hues on the color wheel at the outer edge of the ring. And if I click the middle one, and you'll notice there's a little triangle here, that's what's called the base color. And it's important for you to know because over here in column 3, you are going to have to identify the base color. And by the way, it's using your own words. So to me, this looks red. So I would say the base color is red. You'll also notice that if I drag this base color around the edge of the wheel, I'm changing the base color and all of the harmonizing analogous colors change with it. So this allows you to select a color range that you like. And I'm actually a green. Green's my favorite color. So I'm going to pick green. Now, I'm just going to make a quick note of a few other things here. We're just getting started on the color wheel, and I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information. But note that if I select one of these analogous colors outside of the base color, I can move the colors apart. Now, I will caution you on moving colors too far apart or moving them too much at all, because the whole point of an analogous color theme is that they are side by side on the color wheel and they share common color properties. However, if I spread this way out, they're really not sharing any common color properties. So you want to make sure that these analogous colors, for example, these two share green as well as the base color. And this is like a green blue, the base color. So we've got blue on one side and green on the other. Also, you can drag them towards the middle and they start to desaturate, which means they become a little more dull and they're losing their hue or their color. So you want to stay away from desaturating too much, because then we're just left with gray. I know I do have a number of students that really prefer the muted pastel colors, but don't lose too much color. But, so you be the judge. So saturation and brightness are at their greatest at the outer part of the ring. And then as you move towards the middle, they start to become desaturated. And well, I can't even say that they're brighter, but that's a topic for another time, because those are values of color. Okay, so let's say this is a very vibrant kind of a color scheme, and I want to save that. It's going to be my analogous color theme for my letterform studies. And so you're going to come up here where it says add to swatches, and watch over here what happens when I click this button. It just added a new folder with a group of all 5 swatches to my swatches panel, okay, for easy access. This is really a great tool. All right, so after you've added these to your swatches, what you're going to be tasked with doing is taking a screenshot to embed in this worksheet. So if you're using an Apple, it's Command-Shift-4, and then you get this little crosshair, and I want you to take a picture. I'm primarily just interested in the color wheel itself, because I want to check and make sure that when you chose your colors, you were using your theme matches the colors that I see. And when you click Command-Shift-4, you drag your marquee, and all I need is the color wheel. That's it. And it should place a screenshot. You heard that camera lens shutter on your desktop. And I'm going to go now up here to File, Place. You shouldn't copy and paste. You should place it. And I'm going to go out to my desktop, and there's my screenshot. I'm going to select it and say Place. I get a cursor filled with the image, and I'm just going to drag it to make it as big as I can proportionally. It's being proportionally constrained. And there is the screenshot. Okay. You'll notice that as I place this, it is still selected. It still has these handles on it, which means it's selected. Before you go any further, I want you to come over here to the default panel for properties, and you need to embed. Embedding this means there is now a full version copy of this image in this document versus being linked. The next thing we're going to do is set our color swatches and our base color. So because I have my swatches saved here, I can simply click, and you know what? It's a good thing to zoom in. So let's do that. Now I'm going to use the Z key for the zoom, and I'm going to use the space bar and one box at a time using my selection tool. I'm going to click the first one, and this is my first color. Click the second one. This is my second color. It's more of a green blue. My third color is my base color, which is green. My fourth color is like a yellowish green, moving more towards yellow. There's my four colors. And what I want you to do here is to identify which one is your base color, and it's actually the green. So I'm just going to type green. I'm going to use Command minus to zoom back out. And it's going to be up to you now to complete these 6 color themes. And if I come back up here, if there's another way to do this, I haven't figured it out. But in order to reset your color theme panels to the default, the only way I figured out how to do it, because there's no button that says reset, I just have to go out of it by clicking on my themes and then coming back to create. And when I do that, it brings me back to the original default settings. Okay, so now we're just going to go through the remaining color rules very quickly. You're going to come back up to color rule. And the next one you're tasked with is complementary. Here's your complementary themes. As you can see, complementary color themes are colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. They tend to be high in contrast because their colors are so different. The next one after that is triadic. Triadic colors are equidistant or equally distant on the color wheel in 3 different segments. This tends to be a very vibrant, because the colors are, again, very different. However, you should always choose one color to dominate. So in this case, I would say red is the dominant color. Yellow is probably more submissive. And the way that you dominate a color is it's usually the color that you use more of. The next color theme we're going to do is we're going to skip to monochromatic because I already did analogous. Monochromatic, you'll see up here, if we look up here, are tints and shades of one hue or one color. So the base color is red, and we have lighter versions and darker versions of red. Darker versions are called shades, lighter versions are called tints. And then we have shades. So shades is only darker versions. So you'll notice it goes from a bright red to a less bright, and then they progressively get darker and darker until we almost have a burnt red as the darkest color. So that's shades. Again, shades means darker versions of that hue or color. And then compound gets a little more complicated. It's when you're actually, it's a combination of what are called split complementaries. And split complementaries means that you're not taking 2 colors exactly opposite on the color wheel. You're taking the complement on either, let me see, how should I say this? You're taking the color on the direct right and left side of that complement. So you'll see they're still in the same type of family theme as complementary, but we're kind of moving away from being directly across. I think a picture is worth 1,000 words, so you can see it here. This gives you a much more of a variety. So have fun, put together some great color themes, and I'd like to see a variety. And again, make sure you go through all the steps, make your screenshot, embed the screenshot, identify your base color, and fill these boxes with your swatch colors.